Very warm welcome back to Swayam course on Design Thinking and Innovation. This is week 11. We're going to be doing the tool section. We had a glimpse of it in the first section, the process section. So we're going to be going into a bit more detail in this section. So let's go ahead. It's section T11, week 11. So we're going to be looking at rough sketches, paper prototypes, mock-ups, scenarios, story building, and even scenario play acting it. So what are rough sketches, wireframes, and draft layouts? Rough sketches are great for ideation. These are these quick, really fast sketches. Okay, and so that you don't take that much time to do it. The main reason is that as it comes into your mind, you kind of make a drawing out of it, okay, as quick as possible. Okay, so accuracy is not so important, details are not so important. It's just the concept or the idea that comes into your mind. You just put it down quickly on a piece of paper or on your screen. Whatever the media that is comfortable to you, do it fast, quick. Okay, and these are really the draft or the sample versions of your idea, and this helps you to quickly visualize like the drawing in front of you. These are done very quickly just to see what combinations it can have, what configurations it can have, what colors it could have. Okay, and you can even show these quick drafts to your user segment and get feedback on this. Okay, let's have a look at another idea. This is a product design example. Okay, and again you can see they're all very rough sketches. It looks like they're doing a stove, and it's actually a solar powered stove. That's the brief the person is working on. That's the problem he's trying to solve. Okay, I can see that it's in all shapes and sizes. Yeah, this is the rough sketch. This is another one. This is sketches for a food container, a very flexible container for food delivery. Okay, what it should be stacked one on top of another, or can it form another group? Should it be circular or squarish? Can it be taken out when you're eating it, and so that the strap itself becomes the place that you can keep it. Okay, all kinds of questions. But again, you can see that these are really rough sketches when your ideation comes in. You can even do rough sketches of a system, like this person is working on using a mobile device for marketing in agriculture, mainly the agricultural products. Okay, so he has to think of the whole system. It's not just the vegetables. It has to go to one place, and then it has to go to the marketplace, and then probably in the shop. So he's actually looking at the whole connection between these. Again, you can see these are again very quick sketches. Okay, and you can see here, these are rough sketches for doing a character for animation. You can see all kinds of expressions have been done, but they are very rough. Okay, just to get the gist of it. Okay, a little more detailed here. Okay, so this is again for animation. Okay, so they're actually doing out the details, but again it's on dengue. So it's the mosquito that is at the center. That's the main character here. You can see many variations of it, again very quick. Okay, so these are rough sketches, okay, done very spontaneously, very quickly, so that whatever is in your mind comes down and becomes visible. Okay, so let's move on to wireframes. These are also again very quick ones, okay, very rough. Okay, and wireframes are typically for digital interface design. Okay, so it's the skeleton of the thing that you're doing, okay, and you're roughly putting what could come there. You know, it's at a very draft version. You can change it, okay, you know, depending on the feedback or your own. You know, when you put 2 or 3 of them together, you can see that it doesn't gel together. There has to be some changes. Okay, so this is also very good, you know, and if you can actually put it on piece of paper, you know, and then you can show it one after another and actually simulate a, you know, walkthrough of how the interface works and get a feedback on this. Okay, so again, very important to do this because it's quick ideas that that can be changed accordingly. Okay, so this you can see that this is an early prototype, little more defined than the earlier sketches, but again it's done digitally, but they're also done extremely fast and quick. Okay, so task management for students, you know, how do they actually look at different tasks and how do they categorize it and how do they sequence it, how do they can actually, you know, manage their different tasks they have to do, right? Okay, so there are different, you know, screens which are done again at the wireframe level. The main intention is if you want, you can change it. You can see that this is another one. It's an application this person is doing to learn fractions. Okay, so they've got a slightly more, it's a horizontal screen, and you can see again very quick sketches on moving from one screen to another. You can make many variations of it. That's the fun of it. Okay, and you can take this and get feedback, as I've said before. So these are called as wireframes. Okay, very useful. Okay, so now if you look at publication design and or a screen, okay, you can also do a draft layout. Like let's say it's a web space that you want to design. You want to quickly sketch out what the rough layout is. Okay. So these are all again belongs to the same category where you try to do variations quite fast, okay, and you can test it out also. So this is, we've seen this before. This student was working on you know, doing a packaging for medicine, so that on the package the different ways you can actually use the medicine is printed. So that's a rough you know, so the person can actually go with that and get feedback on this. On the right side is another one where the student was doing an interactive exhibition on the culture of Rajasthan. Okay, so again rough layouts, they have you know, mapped like the carved. That means there are doors, and if you open the door you can discover new stories of Rajasthan. Okay, so here you can see that it's 3 different versions of the same story, but in different styles, and even the content is a bit different. Okay, so it's a picture driven storybook. Okay, so you know, you can try out variations of it. Again, it's not so detailed, it's quick, just to get the feel and get a feedback from the users what directions they should take it ahead. Okay, and here is another example of it. These are layouts for the scene in a animation film. Okay, so so you can see that the top one is just a sketch. Okay, so you can vary it and make sure that it becomes all right, and you can see in the bottom it's lot more defined one. That's how it finally is used in the animation film. Okay, so draft layouts are very useful. So here's another example of a draft layout, because the person was doing a signage system for the suburban trains in Mumbai city. So you can see these are rough ideas. In the beginning, you know, the proportion is not very sure, but the place is kind of certain, getting how it should be done. Okay, so again quick sketches, right? Okay, so from here we move on to paper prototypes and doing mock-ups. Okay, so it means that that was drawing, which was going to help you into visualizing either the concept itself or the idea itself, or even the layout of what you're trying to do. Okay, now we're moving on to paper, how you can actually make use of paper. paper is very interesting because, you know, joining paper, you can even create three-dimensional objects, right? And very quick to do it, extremely good if you're doing packaging, surfaces, you know, or you know, parts of a furniture. Okay, and you can stick it together, you can cut it. If you use a slightly thick paper, it's hard. So you can really fold it nicely, like the example here. The person is trying to do a pop-up book. Okay, so the person is trying out different animals out there. Okay, and the left one is an example in geometry. The person is trying to explain how you can use paper for this kind of thing. So again, paper prototypes are fast. Okay, and they're suited for many applications. Okay, you can do it for digital interface layouts or graphic publications or even 3D objects. Okay, here for example, the person is trying to do an interactive Muppet to basically use it as almost like a tool for interacting with content on a digital surface. Okay, so you know, it's not the full Muppet, but it's the trial Muppets done out of just paper and cardboard, sketched out, so you can try it out. Okay, and children were used to get feedback on this and then finalize what can be taken further. Okay, so interactive Muppets here. Okay, and you can see if it is something like a, you know, a lamp or you know, packaging. Again, cardboard becomes very you know, easy to use and change for doing the mock-ups and doing a sample draft versions. So you can see here mock-ups done with cardboard. Okay, and you can, again, as I said, it's quick and you can make changes, try many versions of it. Okay, close to it is also clay. Clay, you need to carve it. You first mold the clay. You can use soft clay, you can use also plaster of Paris to make a model out of it, because once it you know, solidifies, you can make many details with that. Okay, so like here the person is trying out shapes for a bucket. Okay, so he's used all kinds of materials here. You can see clay has been used, paper has been used. Okay, so again, all these are mock-ups just to get what your idea that you have in the mind into a three-dimensional, you know, surface here. Yeah, so again, it's a very pliable material, so that's why one can use it, and it's also very suited for organic shapes. Okay, so again, foam, which is very close to clay, very easy to work on it. Okay, and you can make rough models with that. Okay, easy to work on it. Okay, so you can see here, you know, these are all 3D draft versions for a side table. You can see different ideas, circular, one on top of another, some that is flexible. Yeah, so again, extremely good for doing this. Okay, so here actually the person was working on a game. So there were 3D objects which were in the game, okay, which needed to be made. So quickly was prototyped using clay, and you can also beautifully color them. That's the nice advantage of that. Okay, so this was a game on sustainability at the ideation level. Mock-ups were done with the clay. Okay, and of course wood is also another very nice pliable material, and especially if you use softwood, it's easy to work on it, and you can get very refined nice forms with that. Okay, traditionally, like when we were students, we used a lot of wood to make 3D objects. Okay, now of course printing, you know, digital printing has come, so some of it has, you know, got reduced, but like for example, if you're doing furniture, you'll still actually make your models with wood, or if it is a very soft, you know, curvy surface, wood, you know, becomes quite a nice material to work with. Because wood, you can polish it or you can paint it. Yeah, there are many possibilities with that, and you can make many details with that. Yeah. So again, it's suited for organic shapes. Okay, so going on from there, extension of that is that you want to make the idea that you're using in a situation, with the users. So you can, we call it a scenario. It could be a very hypothetical scenario, but it can actually show the product being used by a person or persons. Okay, so it's a sequence of events that the user takes in interacting with the idea. Okay, it can be fictional, but it kind of demonstrates the use of the concept or idea. And you've seen this in many of the case studies that we've seen, that we actually had a scenario which could be made into a story, and then you have the product being used within that particular scenario. Okay, you can have it in many ways. Okay, scenarios can be just written in form of text, okay, or spoken nicely as a scenario. You can dramatize it, okay, illustrated as visuals. That's another way of doing it. Or you can put it into a form of storyboard with step-by-step visuals with text, like something like in a comic book. Or if you want, you can actually shoot a video with narration of the scenario itself and show how the product is being used. Okay, so you can call it as a video prototype. Okay, so these are all mock-ups. You can see just to show how your product works, and it becomes very clear to the person. Okay, so you can see some scenarios here. We've seen this before. This is the interaction between a doctor and a patient using a new digital interface. Okay, so they are interacting remotely, but the whole process of doctor-patient interaction happens through this particular system. Okay, and you can see that through the arrows, that's the direction in which the different activities are taken place. Okay, and here you can see that this was actually a scenario for a new device. It is called as a wonder window, which was a device being used by the elderly to narrate stories to children. Okay, which is again a favorite pastime for elderly. Okay, so this device actually lets you go and take photographs and converts it into drawings and add things to it. Okay, so for example, this was the story of a crow looking for some, to quench its thirst. It's looking for a pot with water, but then it cannot reach it. So how do you do it? Okay, so he had a twist to this story. The crow, I think here, used a straw or maybe something else, or tilted the pot. Okay, somehow it actually drank the water, and in the evening the person is able to actually show the visuals which he has created, okay, out of taking photographs from here and there, and it converting it into drawings, and then the child is so happy to listen to it. Okay, now this is narrated in form of a scenario. This is a hypothetical situation, but you can actually show how this particular product actually works. Okay, so here you can see another scenario, okay, of a boy who comes to see his grandparents, okay, and he gets inspired by the bridge when he comes there, and that becomes an inspiration to do something else, for the elderly. Okay, so that's the scenario. Okay, that's an inspiration which has been shown here. Of course, you can make storyboards out of it. Okay, so this is the storyboard of a cow, okay, and it's a story, okay, and you can see that it's narrated in two different styles here. Okay, so this is how you can actually show the interaction between things, objects. It could as well be the user here making use of it. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Okay, so you make use of a story to narrate a scenario to showcase a product or a use of something. Here it is a lot more detailed storyboard. Okay, so this is the case of the dengue fever, and the person is trying to put it all into different scenes. When put together, he would actually make an animation film out of that. Okay, and yeah, so these are the sketches, and it's the initial draft storyboard the person has done, which he can actually in animation you can You can play it one after another and put also the audio into it. It's called as animatics. Okay, so you kind of get the feel of what the film is. Okay, and when all the in-betweens are done, it becomes the final product. But before doing it, just to get a feel of what your product is, animatics is the method they use it. Okay, so you can see this, in films or animation, they do detailed storyboard. They sketch the scene. They also write what the audio in that scene, how it should happen. You can put in a lot more details into it. Okay, so this is like a script for the film or an animation. Yeah, it's again a draft one. You can make many versions of it. Okay, so let's look at the summary of what we talked till now. Okay, all these are methods for you to put your thoughts for an idea into a 2-dimensional or a 3-dimensional surface. Okay, so that you can quickly visualize these ideas. Okay, and you can make changes. So it's called as soft prototypes. It's the first stage of prototyping. Okay, sketches we saw, wireframes we saw, layouts we saw, and then you use paper, clay, wood, okay, foam to make mock-ups. Okay, and then we also saw what is meant by scenarios and storyboards. Okay, so I'm requesting all of you, you don't have to do everything, but at least try out few of them, because they are extremely nice and simple techniques to visualize what is in your mind. Okay, and get feedback on it. That's the best part of it. Thanks a lot for listening. This is section T11, week 11. Let's just summarize what we've done till now. Week 11, we did the process. We looked at the prototype, soft prototype, rough sketches, paper prototype, scenarios and stories, and we looked at it much more detail in the tool section, and we'll follow it up in the project. We'll apply it, and then we have a beautiful case study on Marbo.